Spurs might win the Conference League next season. Spurs.
I mean, I think that place is relevant. That's replaced for Liverpool and Chelsea. They should worry about conference.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We're not even that. We've been awful. We're not even that far behind you. You know.
So we've all been awful. There's nothing to brag about.
You have not been awful. You've not been awful. Don't do that. No, don't do that. Have you had a run of 1 win in 9 games? Because I don't.
1 second,
Spurs' run. Spurs aren't on great. Like, that's
exactly.
Spurs
We're not on
bad form.
Like, we've lost 4 of the last 5 home games.
We had 1 win in 9. We had 1 win in 9.
We're not in good form either.
It's crazy, but I want to ask you about Antonio Conte, because for me, I know that everyone's on Enoch, but for this first half poor performances, coupled with Antonio Conte's terrible form as Tottenham manager against the big teams, a defeat and 2 draws against Liverpool. You have beaten City, a draw and 3 defeats against Chelsea, just 1 win and 2 defeats against Arsenal, and battered twice by Manchester United. Like, is Antonio Conte and his system and style a problem at Tottenham?
Yeah. Can I go first on this, George? Can I go first? I just want to... For me, Conte has a lot to shoulder in terms of the blame. The reason why I can't go full tilt on Conte is because the board and the ownership are doing the same thing they always do. And they're not giving the manager the full tools to really, display his talents, really. But Conte actually needs to work with the tools at his disposal. When you keep starting the wrong right backs in the big games, when you keep playing 2 midfield against quality opposition who have 3 good midfielders, you have to be blamed for that, because you're the one that is putting the players out. When you're not geeing up the players in the first half, I don't know what's going on, but it's time and time again. We're always under the cosh in the first half. We're always going behind. Don't get me wrong. No manager can legislate for Hugo Lloris's errors or Eric Dyer's errors and all of that. But still, it's a team performance and the guy's not getting the best out of the team. So Conte does need to hold some corn. He needs to hold some smoke. He needs to take a look in the mirror as well, because at the end of the day, the players that we've got should be performing better than the performances I'm seeing, because we're not worse than a lot of the teams that we're struggling against. There's no way. We do have quality in this team. So
no, but Pat, the one thing that we both know here is those players that are letting us down are the same players that let us down for Mourinho, same players that let us down for Nuno, same players that let us down for Pochettino. I don't blame the manager whatsoever, because at the end of the day, we've got Hugo making mistakes. We've got Dyer making mistakes. Pochettino said Dyer wasn't a centre-back 4 or 5 years ago. Why is he still a centre-back at Spurs? He's a first-team player. It doesn't really make no sense to me. You have to look at the board. I'm seeing people put in the amount of money that we've spent, but if you look at half of those players, they weren't Conte signings. He's come out quite literally and said, I didn't want Spence. Basuma wasn't really a player that he wanted. And quite a lot of these players are like young signings we're investing into is not what he wants. He wants ready-made players. We haven't gone out there and given him the tools to do his job. And I don't expect our manager to go into any game and change his formation. He has his way of playing. He's won many leagues.
No. See, I disagree with that. Sometimes
he has many leagues playing that way. And the best managers are stubborn in the way that they tactically set up, and they go and beat teams playing that way. Conte has done that, and he's shown over the years that he can do that. But
yeah, he can, but also at the same time,
we just don't have the tools to supply him to play that formation to the
best.
We
got 3 midfielders. You can play 3 midfielders against Arsenal. Sorry, I don't agree with that.
We didn't need to.
Patrick, you signed up to Conte. You signed up to Conte. You know what you're getting. You're playing 3-4-3. Conte is what he is. He doesn't change. He's not gonna change because he's been successful. He has 15 players he likes, and he will stick to those 15 players. He don't care.
I agree, but also sometimes
once you sign up. That's what you get.
In-game, but your in-game management needs to adapt. When you're getting overran and you're 1-0 down,
he did, Pat, and unfortunately, we just don't have enough options on the bench.
We had midfielders that you could have thrown in. Sorry, you could have done that. Like, I don't buy this whole.
I agree with you. Like, Dyer's not a centre back, but your manager's still picking him. You've got academy players, right?
Exactly.
Pick someone, do something different.
But we don't have another centre back. That's the problem.
But I do blame Antonio Conte, because why you? I don't even mean it rudely. Is as if Tottenham were going to go out there and buy over 2 or 3 windows 15, 26-plus-year-old established top-class players. You've never done that in the history of your football club. Why were you going to start now?
I think he got lied to, personally. I think Levy pulled a blinder on him, like he always does. I personally think he got lied to, the same way he always, like we've attracted Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte. So there has to be something in it where these big coaches will come in and they're getting paid. Of course they're getting paid, but they could get paid anywhere else. They're not managers that will suffer to get a deal. But when I look at this team, it's gone stale. Dyer and Davies have been there 9 years. Lloris has been there 10 years. Sessegnon, who's crap, has been there 4 years now. Davinson Sanchez, 6 years. These players are crap. Wouldn't get into any other top 6 team. And the board, again, haven't moved these guys on, not ruthless enough. And we just got players that are stealing a living. And you can't throw these guys into big games and expect them to perform because they haven't been performing. It makes no sense.
Just on the Conte out stuff, because I know this is the big thing trending. I think, look, if Conte's not going to sign a contract and he makes it very clear that he's not going to sign that contract extension at the end of the year, then we need to start looking at other options. I do agree with that, because we can't sit here dilly-dallying until February, March, and then he decides, oh, I'm not going to sign, and then we're fucked. And we've done another transfer window, we've done another 3 months of him, and then we're going to have to start a new project with a new manager again at the end of this season, and give up the end of the season and not finish top 4, not finish in any way. So I do feel like we need to make the decision really soon whether he's going to sign a new contract and we're going to back him the way he needs to be backed, or we need to just get rid of him and start the new project earlier, because at the moment there's really no clear direction, knowing what's going to happen.
What project though? What project? If he's not going to get backed, what manager is going to get backed? This is why for me, I'm not Conte out.
Probably looking at Pochettino again, Pat. Man.
No. One second. I'm just going to say this. You guys probably agree with me. You guys currently don't have a project. What you have is you're trying to sustain and get the best out of what you have, which is 2 players that you view as the centerpiece of your whole thing, Kane and Son. You've been trying to build around Kane and Son and the leftovers of what Pochettino had from a couple of years ago, and you've been trying to stay near the top, and you are not going to be able to continue to stay at this level if you don't try to find a way to have a succession plan for when they get too old. Because at this moment in time, Son has been having one of his worst seasons at Tottenham. You have
his worst.
You have Harry Kane, who's been good, but at the same time, he can't save you by himself.
Kane's been sensational, to be honest.
Was your only shining light in your attack. And let's be honest, Kane, Son, and Kulusevski, anytime they've played, they've been threatening. And right now, the reality is behind them, you don't have midfielders who can do anything. Yes, you can play a 3-man midfield, but you know something? Since Jose, nothing's changed. You still don't have a creator in their midfield. Bentancur was injured. Yes, I acknowledge that. And he's probably your only real shining light in that midfield. So that is a big blow to you guys. But no excuses. As you said, no excuses for Arsenal, no excuses for Tottenham. You still lost this game because of your manager's incompetence. And he decided to change Terrace for Sessegnon, and it was still a mismatch. And now you have nothing going attacking wise.
That wasn't even the bad thing. You
know how poor your defenders are in that you already have in your team. Romero, you guys keep talking about Romero being this guy. Jess was 100% right. This guy's overrated. You guys continuously talk about how good he is. What is he doing? Like,
he is good. He is good. Come on, he is good.
Okay, maybe it's not even him. Let's go to the midfield. You guys play a young Sar, and he was your best player. I'm shocked.
Why are you shocked? What's shocking about that? If he's a good player, he's a good player.
I'm shocked in the sense that I'm shocked in a North derby. You have a 20-year-old midfielder coming in, and he's looking like one of your better
good players. For him. That's shocking.
That's amazing. I don't get what's
what?
Can I pop in really quick?
I'm not even done.
Can I pop in really quick?
Gal, give up the mic. Let someone else talk, please.
Hold on really quick. The only thing I want to say is, like, there's a comment here about, like, the style of play and stuff like that. And we talk about this all the time, but I do think there's an element of, like, Conte's style of play is just ragged, and, like, nobody wants to play that way anymore. And if you can't guarantee trophies with it, which he hasn't been able to guarantee trophies for Spurs with that way of play, everybody from Arsenal down plays expansive football. Like, I think the days of, like, sitting behind the ball is, like, gone, because, like, there's no Burnley anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were, like, the last team that were like, you know what, we're just gonna sit back in our shape. Literally everybody wants to play football, and I think you have players in your team that are probably just like, if this doesn't guarantee trophies, I don't want to play this way. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I hear you, but I think we do play football, but it's just the players are not what
you haven't played football for 6 years.
What are you talking about? Come on, like,
okay,
not okay. Yeah, come on.
Since Jose came in, you guys have been playing the same way. That's a reality.
Let me interject for a second, Patty. You play good football in quite a lot of these second halves, and that's the players doing it. The fact you don't do it in the first half so consistently, that has to be an instruction, or the manager don't care, because let's just say
it's because they're behind, Terry. Usually in the second half, they're behind. They have to come out and play.
But that means they can do it, though. They're showing us with our eyes, we can see them playing, which means for me, this is the way your manager's doing it. But I don't even think it's about not winning trophies. I think if Arsenal was in 8th right now, Spurs fans would be content. What you're gutted about is that your only thing you really strive for each year is finishing in front of Arsenal, and you're failing at it. That's what's making you angry.
Come on, no. Terry,
that is why that young man kicked out of Ramsdale in the crowd. So your fans are so angry. It's why Richarlison's moaning about like players diving and controlling balls in their back. And Ramsdale was really winding us up. It's because Spurs' number one objective as a football club, finishing in front of Arsenal.
The season's not over, stop it, man. Let's get something straight away. The season's not over. We can still have a more successful season. We can still have a more successful season than all of you guys. If Arsenal don't win the Premier League,
no,
the FA Cup's still there.
No, but George,
you're not having a more successful season than us.
Arsenal won the FA Cup and they were 8th. They were 8th. Apparently, they had a better season than everyone.
Respectfully,
that's all we need to go and do to beat most of you guys. That's all we need.
You're not winning anything again.
How do you know, David? You don't know that.
David, chill. No, I'm sorry. We have a better chance winning the Champions League than you do. We do.
David, you're not in any competition bar in the champs and the Premier. You've got no chance.
We've got a better chance.
I don't know. Can we stick to the point? Can I? Because Terry said something about Tottenham and Arsenal. That the only reason why we're upset is because Arsenal first and we're whatever. That's nonsense. We're upset because we can see clearly that Conte hasn't been backed. And time again, it's the same failings. And that's why, for me, I'm not like, get Conte out of here. People overreact. Of course, we lost the North London derby. And I admit, even though the score was 2-0, we got battered in the game. I will fully hold my hands up and say Arsenal were the better team.
4-0 by halftime.
Well, it was 2-0, innit? It was 2-0. We had chances as well. But you scored 2 goals. Again,
You had none. Ramsdale was standing on his head.
You had none. We had chances. Sessegnon was through on goal. Ramsdale made a great save.
You had chances.
Harry Kane hit a shot. We had chances. Come on. But the difference is...
I'm saying you had chances, but I was giving credit to Ramsdale. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, no. Ramsdale was immense, and that's the difference. Ramsdale was superb yesterday, and we didn't look like scoring because Ramsdale is a good keeper, where Lloris, every time that ball was in the box, I was worried. So, but the point is, Arsenal are doing fantastic. My gripe isn't with where Arsenal are, where Tottenham are. Of course, it does intensify it, but my gripe is with the board and the fact that we've got Conte in and we're not backing him. And the guy made a good point. The guy was going on for ages, don't get me wrong, but he did make some good points in that. And one of them was the whole Kane and Son and not utilising this moment to actually build a team around them. And I agree. And again, this is another reason why Levy needs to go, Enoch needs to piss off, because we've had so many chances where they could have built on something and they don't care about on-pitch success. And it's just dwindling. And that's why the fans were. And Terry, you made a point about the guy kicking Ramsdale in the back. I was in the South Stand. Ramsdale, for his credit, fans were getting onto him and he was giving it back and he was waving at fans and kissing the badge. And he likes going back and forth. I get it. That fan took it over the top. Don't get me wrong. No one should ever run onto the pitch and attack a player. But for me, if you're going to do that, because I was right there, I saw him clamber over everyone. If you're going to boot him, boot him. Don't do none of this soft shit. Like, he got all the way to Ramsdale and he literally tickled him. That was nonsense.
Patrick,